Hey guys, we are going to change percents to decimals, and then we're going to change decimals back to percents. And we'll come up with the rule for it just by looking at it. Okay, so we have 18%. Remember, the word percent means per hundred. So we have 18 per hundred, which means 18 hundredths. Okay, so 18% becomes 0.18 because the 8 is in the hundredth spot. Okay, 20%, 20 per hundred. So we write it 0.20, or just 0.2. 2 tenths or 20 hundredths. Okay, look what's happening here. We take this number 18, which has a decimal after it. It's hidden, we don't need to see that decimal. But what we did is we moved the decimal from here over 2 spots this way. So move the decimals 2 place values to the left. Okay, so we had it here, and we move it 1, 2, left, 20 hundredths. Here we move it, it was here, we're going to move it to left. Oh, we only have 1 spot there. We can annex another 0 and put it there. So 2% is 0.02, 2 hundredths. That makes sense. 3.8%, it already has a decimal in it. Move it 2 to the left. Annex another 0 so we can see it better. So it's 0.038. Now we have 38 thousandths, which makes sense because we have a spot there in the thousandths. 112%. Well, that's got to be bigger than 1. 100% is 1. So the decimal was there. We're moving it over 2 spots. So it's 1.12. 1 and 12 hundredths. All right, so our rule, we move the decimal 2 spots to the left. So what we're really doing is we are divide by 100 because it's percent per hundred. Okay, so if we're going to divide by 100 to change a percent to a decimal, to change from a decimal to the percent, we're going to do the inverse of that. We're going to do the opposite. And the inverse of dividing is multiplying. So our rule over here is multiply by 100. And we're going to do the inverse of moving the decimal 2 to the left. We're going to move the decimal 2 spots right. Okay, so 12 hundredths, move it 2 to the right, times 100, 12%. 78 hundredths, times it by 100, 2 to the right, 78%. 9 hundredths, move it 2 to the right, 9%. 38 thousandths is 3.8%. Remember, we are multiplying by 100 and putting in the percent sign. 1.08, it's got to be more than 100%. 108%. Okay? So those are our rules. When we change percents to decimals or decimals back to percents, remember, it's a real simple rule. We're either going to divide by 100 or multiply by 100. We're just moving that decimal around. Okay, be careful which direction you're going. Always make sure you check and ask the question, does my answer make sense? All right, thanks.